specifically talks to the need for one to be licensed before they operate in the electricity industry. But the relevant sections in the two acts, remember we have two acts, the Electricity Act and the Energy Regulatory Act, which are read together when we do our licensing. We have sections 40 to 51 of the Electricity Act, which talks about the various licenses that we have, the processes that we have to go through, and the terms and conditions of the licenses and the like. And then we also have section 7 to 16 of the Energy Regulatory Act, which also talks of the same issues of licensing. And then section 40 of the Electricity Act actually provides that, I took it verbatim as it is in the Act, no person except in terms of the appropriate license issued under this Act shall in Zimbabwe operate an electricity undertaking which generates, transmits, distributes or supplies electricity in excess of 100 kilowatts or such other amount as the authority may from time to time to operate without a license. And I want to maybe just anticipate a question that may come from the media fraternity, that do we have any who are operating without licenses? At the moment, we don't have any. We have actually licensed all those that are operating. And then the types of licenses that we issue as Zera are stipulated in the Electricity Act. Then we have a generation license, which is the section 42 of the Act. We have the transmission and bulk supply license, which is section 43 of the Electricity Act. The distribution and retail supply license, section 44. We have independent transmission and independent distribution licenses, which are issued to, basically these are issued to IPPs, and also even those licenses falling under ZPC. We actually have a license that we issued to one electricity supply company, the company that is doing the expansion of Wange Power Station under ZPC. And then in terms of the licensing procedure and turnaround times, licensing of electricity sector players is provided for in section 46 of the Electricity Act and Statutory 103 of 2008. In fact, Statutory Instrument 103 of 2008 gives details of how the licensing process should take place. The Electricity Act just talks, generally about the licensing process, but all the detail that you require are found in the Statutory Instrument 103 of 2008. We also have an amendment that has been done, which I didn't include here, to Statutory Instrument 103, which is Statutory Instrument 55 of 2015, which is an amendment to the 103, but basically talks about the license fees and the license application fees, which were amended through that SI. And then we have subsection 8 of section 46 of the Electricity Act, which requires that the period that lapses between submission of a license application and granting or refusing to grant a license by Zera should not exceed 6 months. And then in the SI 103 of 2008, we have a turnaround time of 105 days. The time that it should take us from the time of receiving the license application and the time of approving the license application, we should not exceed 105 days. And then we also have the Zera Client Service Charter, where we have brought this down again to 90 days, and this is the figure that we work with when we are processing licenses. We ensure that we do it within the 90 days which we have set ourselves in the Client Service Charter. And then the tenure of licenses that is provided for in section 47(10) of the Electricity Act, where the tenure should not exceed 30 years. The requirements Here I'm just going to talk about the requirements for a generation license. We also have requirements for the distribution and the transmission license, which are also spelled out in the electricity licensing guidelines. These are the general requirements, and these apply to all the 5 different types of licenses which I spelled out earlier on, which Zera issues. We need to fill in an application form, and then you also have to submit to support what is in the application form, all that information. And then in terms of generation, the generation licenses which are issued to IPPs, those are the requirements. Maybe I should just point out that those that are key here, although all are required, but we have key requirements where you can't talk of a license for generation without a land use permit. You can't talk of a license without a grid impact assessment study, which is done by ZETDC. You can't talk of a generation license without an environmental impact assessment, prospectus, and also a certificate that was also issued to enable you to deal with issues to do with the environment. And then I'm now going on to the numbers. In terms of how many we have licensed to date, we have 70 projects so far, and I want to point out that the 70 does not include the deemed licenses, which are the old power stations that we have that belong to ZPC, the Kariba power station, the Wange power station, and then the 5 thermal power plants. Those are excluded there. The figure includes the 2 big projects that have been licensed under ZPC, Wange expansion project, and also Kariba extension project. So we have a total of 70 licensed so far, and out of that figure, 6 are state-owned projects, which I think ZPC has already talked about. And then we have number of operational state-owned projects. We have 1, which is the Kariba South extension project. Number of operational IPPs, we have 17. And then we have 2 IPPs that were commissioned but are not currently operating. One of them being the Nema power station, which one of you talked about, and also Border Timbers, which is for own consumption. And then the number of IPPs that are still to be commissioned, we have 45. And then the number of state-owned projects that are still to be commissioned, we have 5. And then breakdown of the operational projects, we have 9 mini hydros. I think 7 of these actually belong to one of our most successful IPP, Nyangani Renewable Energy. And then 2 of them, if I'm not mistaken, they belong to, I think 2 is Kupinga Renewable Energy, and also Bonmar Investments, who are operating a small power plant in Nyanga. And then we have 1 large hydro, which is now operational, which should be Kariba. And then we have 4 solar PV power plants, 4 ones. A hybrid diesel solar, we have 1, cogeneration we have 3, and we have a total of 18, with a total capacity of 433.83 megawatts. And then out of those that are operational, we have 4 that are for own consumption, 3 cogeneration with banking arrangements with the national utility, and 11 fitting into the national grid. And then out of the 45 projects that I earlier on talked about, which are still to be developed, we have 11 mini hydros, we have 4 thermal coal-fired power plants, we have 33 solar PV, 1 gas-fired, 1 combined gas council. And then we have, the total capacity is 7,388 for those that are still to be developed. 5 out of the 50 state-owned and 45 IPPs, 2 for own consumption and 48 which fit into the national grid. And then that's a summary of the projects, which actually summarizes all the figures that are given you. We have classified them according to stages. Stage 1 being the pre-feasibility stage, where we have 8 projects with a total capacity of 2,670. And then stage 1B is feasibility and technical studies. We have a total of 25 projects there with a total capacity of 1,671. And then stage 2 were those projects that are doing feasibility and proof of bankability. We have 7 projects, and they have a total capacity of 2,450. And then stage 3, those who have secured funding, we have 3 which are all solar PV projects with a total capacity of 53.3 megawatts. Stage 4 is construction. Those projects that are under construction, we have 7 with a total capacity of 655.84. And then operational projects, we have 18. And then those that are commissioned but not operating, we have 2, which gives a total of 70 and a total capacity of 8,082. I'll just talk briefly about PPAs. I believe this is a topic that actually requires a presentation on its own. But after obtaining a licensee then applies for approval of a power purchase agreement in line with Section 53 of the Act. The calculation of the tariffs is actually based on a tariff code that was approved by Zera, and the tariff calculation uses the rate of return methodology. This is a diagrammatic representation of what we refer to as rate of return methodology, where a tariff would be based on a revenue requirement, and the revenue requirement would be expenses plus return plus other costs, which are then used by the IPPs to come up with their tariff, which after licensing they then submit to Zera for consideration. And then in terms of investment incentives in the electricity industry, there is a tax holiday that was introduced recently, sometime last year, 2018. There is national project status or duty-free importation of equipment and components. We have incentives for solar projects. There's actually a statutory instrument to that effect. Exemption from payment of withholding tax and guaranteed dividend payment and repatriation. This is just some detail on the incentives. The tax holiday is in the Finance Act 2018, which was published in General Notice 158A of 2018, where projects that were commissioned after 1st January 2018 are zero rated for the first 5 years, and then thereafter they pay 15% corporate tax. And the national project status, this has to be applied for. When an IPP has been issued a license, they can apply for national project status through the Ministry of Energy and Power Development. And Ministry of Energy and Power Development submits this application to Ministry of Finance, who process the application. And once that is accorded to a project, the importation of capital equipment for that project will be duty-free. Those are incentives for solar projects, statutory instrument 147 of 2010. We do have those components. So solar equipment which is imported duty-free. And I understand there is also an addition to that list, because batteries were exempt from that list, but they've now been included, solar batteries for, there's a specific type that has been added to the list for importation duty-free. And then in terms of IPP procurement, this is the way forward. Currently, we are basing on IPP procurement on unsolicited bids, where anyone who just meets the requirements and has capacity to do the project can just apply to Zera and a license is issued. But in the near future, because of the challenges that we've had with these unsolicited bids, we are moving on to competitive bidding, which will be planned based on a national integrated energy resource plan that is currently being developed by the Ministry of Energy. And then in terms of way forward on smaller projects, there is what we call the renewable feed-in tariff framework, which has been put in place by Zera, which will bring in competitive bidding for small renewable energy projects of up to 50 megawatts for solar and 10 megawatts for other renewable energy sources. Preliminary work on this refit framework has been done, and draft refit guidelines are in place. And then we also have an IPP policy that is being developed by the ministry to guide private players' participation in the energy sector in Zimbabwe. I think this is the end of the presentation. But maybe in terms of if you want additional information, we have most of this information on our website, the Zera website. And you can just access the website and website of some of the information that I've presented in more detail. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mango. I hope we've all filled in our details, because we are going to share with you this presentation